classes of blue dog Democrats elected to the Congress. And I think we need to really start thinking seriously about what that means for the Democratic agenda moving forward. If we think that blue dog Democrats are going to deliver the kind of Supreme Court reform that the people are calling for, we better think another way. But that's just me scratching the surface. I'm sure we have more to share.
When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, we are being joined on Fat Meat Fridays by our creator, Gina Towns, who will be leading our discussion with Nee Quarterly-Corte as well as John Lesiotis. More on KBLA Talk 1580 right here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays. And for those of you all who do not believe that fat meat is greasy, the Supreme Court of the United States showed us about a week ago that they are prepared to slide all of us out of the skillet and put us in a frying pan. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
For 70 years, the Humane Society of the United States has worked to end animal cruelty. Now, we're continuing that mission as Humane World for Animals, because we work around the globe to care for animals who are suffering today. And we tackle the root causes of cruelty for a kinder tomorrow. We are Humane World for Animals, and together, we can make a difference. Help make change for animals. Visit humaneworld.org.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot-stomping, heart-stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Hey, it's the J Lunch Club. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns. Gina, welcome forward to the show.
Hi, Jesse.
John Lesiotis, welcome forward to the show.
Hello, Jesse.
Dr. Nee Cordelai-Corte, welcome forward to the show.
Hello, Jesse.
Doc, listen, I wanted to tell you that this new America that we're walking into, as I pitched this to our creator, Gina Towns, I was sharing with her during the break. Rebranding is kind of like putting on a girdle. Ever give somebody a hug and you kind of gave them a little squeeze, and then you realize that they've been engaging in some rebranding. Gina said, you have to tighten the corset.
Thank you for the visual, Jesse.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, Doc. I mean, hey, just let it all hang out. We are here. It is what it is. Ain't no need to say you're all uncomfortable. We don't need girdles to come back. Go ahead, G.
Girdles never left.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed
They just
that.
got new branding. Yeah.
G.
Well, you started this.
Well, no, Dr. Nee said that we're walking into a new America. Hey, I can get John Lesiotis right in it. John, we're looking at a brand new America after the redistricting decisions, and I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. John?
I would agree with you 100%. I would agree with that, Jesse. And also to elaborate with Dr. Nee, Dr. Nee, excuse me, what America are they redistricting at this point? Because the way the voters have shifted over the past couple of years, with African Americans shifting further to the right, Hispanic men shifting further to the right, young men in general shifting further to the right. The past couple of elections, there's a lot of indications they're shifting back. So what they think they're redistricting may not be what they think they're going to get at this point. So all the generic maps are showing that Democrats are up anywhere from 12 to 15%. So I do fear, though, that the doctor is right on that. We may get some blue dogs. We may get some more Joe Manchins, Kirsten Sinemas, John Fettermans. So I think it's really incumbent on the Democratic Party to nominate young, strong, progressive candidates that have a populist economic message. And to go with the old style of politics is just not going to get it done. We're going to be stuck in neutral like we have been for so many years.
Let me help our listeners with a little terminology here. A blue dog Democrat is essentially a conservative Democrat that kind of functions between progressives and the Democratic Party, and oftentimes seeks bipartisan arrangements and relationships with the right. They're kind of in the middle. In fact, challenging the Blue Dog Coalition when I was in Congress was indeed a great difficulty because we needed them to help elect the Speaker of the House, but we also needed them to maintain our Democratic majorities. But that does not necessarily mean they're fighting for civil rights. They're certainly not going to be fighting for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, because what makes them a Democrat is the fact that they now have African Americans, let's just say a third in Tennessee in their congressional districts, potentially, but they tend not to cater to the blacks in their district. They spend a lot of time on the farms and in the rural areas with conservatives catering to the very people, for example, Gina, that John Fetterman caters to.
You know, the idea of big tent politics, I think, doesn't work. And perhaps that's why the Democratic Party, as is, has had such a difficult time preparing for this time. It's not like people didn't know that this was coming. This has been coming for a long time. And I don't know what one could think. Make America Great Again either goes back to the Civil Rights era, which is directly connected to the constitutional amendments, 13, 14, 15, and for J.D. Vance, 19. He wants women to stay home. So I'm really just not, this is not about rebranding. This is about the heart of America. This is about the South shall rise again. And when I look at Facebook and the comments that people make on some, and let's talk about how Facebook has changed and social media has changed in this era. I mean, people are really free to say some very mean things. There seems like there's all of a sudden no more community rules. in how people speak to one another. It's a very bullying, condescending climate that we are engaged in right now. And what has been unleashed in the United States is something that the laws were set in place to stop. And so now we have a really big problem, and we need those blue dog Democrats, should they be that. Or you may see the assertiveness of a new generation that really does take this over, and we have to support them.
Dr. Nee?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing the emergence of, when you look at the Working Families Party, for example, Brother John was just talking about the importance of a sort of populist economic message and how that might resonate with particularly younger Democrats and people who maybe decline to state across the country. Look at the rise of the Working Families Party. They've gotten a lot of people elected, and on the state level, on the local level, and on the federal level, right? And so, even if we're living in a time where we see a rise in the number of blue dog Democrats in the Congress, they've got to bring the bacon home to folks in their district who may not be blue dogs. They may be Working Families Party. And so I think this is going to make for a very interesting period, in terms of, the big tent Democrats as we've known it. I think we may even be looking at a little bit of a civil war within that big tent. And so, the 2026 elections, particularly in places like California, where we're seeing this tension between, do we elect potentially this billionaire, who aspires to be a change agent, who's pretty good on a number of issues that are important to progressives, or, do we go with, the standard bearer, Javier Becerra, who has a good shot of winning, but whose relationships with big oil and fossil fuel, for example, bothers people. His inability to be able to say, point blank period, I support single payer healthcare in California. That bothers people. And so, this is a very interesting but defining times for Democrats. Democrats over the course of the past 10 years have largely defined themselves as being not about what Trump is about, not about that MAGA life. And we're hearing voters across the country say, you need to put a little bit more meat on that bone. We need to hear that you're not just about that MAGA life and you're against what Trump is for, but what are you about in the affirmative? And by the way, what difference is that going to make in my pocketbook? What difference is that going to make in my household? What difference is it going to make in terms of the issues that keep me up late at night and that I have to contend with at my kitchen table?
I want to ask John this question. John, the blue dog Democrats would be the anti-impeachment Democrats. They would probably shy away from the idea, given the new makeup of their districts, to not bother Donald Trump, suggesting that it would become more difficult to hold Donald Trump accountable with blue dog Democrats whose districts have been redrawn, largely elected because of new minorities within their district whose anxiety and angst regarding Donald Trump are factors in their turning out to vote, making the district that they are now moved into more competitive. But those Democrats at the same time probably have no problem with Donald Trump's use of military authority in Venezuela, in Cuba, in posturing with Iran.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to identify the things that they can work with Donald Trump on. And that does not mean necessarily holding him accountable for the things that he has done.
No, I agree.
Are we saying the same thing?
Yes, absolutely. We're saying the same thing. And I think the paradigm shifted a little bit from the old blue dogs to the modern centrist. I think we've got a lot of congressmen now that are centrists, like Brad Schneider in the 10th district in Illinois. He's part of a centrist group that's trying to move everyone to the middle. And as I've tried to remind them, as you're moving to the middle, the right's moving further to the right. So we should be moving further to left if you, in fact, want to be in the middle at this point. But he doesn't understand that concept. I'd also add, Jesse, a lot of it has to do with our relationships with other countries as well. A lot of the Democrats are afraid to vote against Israel. with what's going on in the Middle East. So there's a lot of Democrats that don't toe the party line, and it's really hard to get a coalition to get a lot of stuff passed. That's why it's important for this next election, hopefully to get at least 53 Democratic senators elected, so it can be Fetterman proof.
All right.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It is.
Yeah. When we mention big tent politics on the Democratic side, I think that things are shifting a little bit. I don't know if it's an all-out civil war within the Republican Party, but certainly there are some Republicans who are feeling, the departure of Marjorie Taylor Greene and others, Candace Owens, who have criticized Trump and the administration openly. There are certainly people who have not let up the pedal on the Epstein files, have not been satisfied with the direction of the economy. And I think that part right there, I don't know if they can get through doing all that they want to do before these midterms actually do take place, redistricting or not. And if they can't get prices down, like for instance, I know gas is higher than it is in Northwest Indiana or in Chicago, because in LA, the gas is always almost $1 more expensive than anywhere else in the country. It is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So I think that you're going to see some warring within the Republican Party and some more split off before all is said and done. Not everybody is signing on for what's going on and removing people from their committee assignments from state to state, and in particular, ignoring the vote of the people in Virginia.
Let me share something with you about the experience that I had when I was in Congress very quickly. I wanted Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker of the House and made myself available to travel around the country, Dr. Q and John and Gina, to travel as a member of Congress to other states to encourage African Americans to get out and vote, to encourage everyone to get out and vote for the Democratic candidate, because it was important that Nancy Pelosi be Speaker of the House. Now, I'm not going to mention the district. I'm not going to mention the name of the congressman or the Democratic candidate at the time, but I went to this particular district and I worked like a slave from 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 churches. And I got there and found out I'm the preacher at all of them. Then various luncheons and events up until the evening, up until nearly my red-eye flight back to the East Coast. I had spoken all day long, labor unions, halls, great crowds, and never saw the candidate one time, not one time, as a sitting member of Congress, and I crisscrossed the entire district. I heard one of my colleagues was coming in town that night to speak for the candidate, and I went to a college campus just to say, hey, I just worked myself to death here trying to get this congressman elected, and the candidate showed up at that event, and there were 12 people in the audience. So rather than campaign with me all day long, where I was actually touching thousands of voters, they chose not to be identified in the media with me as a congressman. They chose to be identified with this congressman, and there were only 12 people in the audience that night, rather than campaign with me and literally see thousands of people throughout the day. My point is, what's going to happen is those remaining African Americans in the Congress are going to be asked to work all of the black churches to help Democrats get a majority. But I'm telling you, as sure as I'm sitting here, even in my own campaign, there were candidates who would not commit themselves to voting and casting their first vote for Hakeem Jeffries. They identify immediately with the Blue Dog Coalition, and just as sure as I'm sitting here, many of those Blue Dog Democrats, when we regain control of Congress, are going to hold Hakeem Jeffries to a standard that they have never held any other member of Congress to. And just like the Republicans have their own civil war, where one member can throw out the speaker, just as sure as I'm sitting here, there's going to be a movement on the rules within the Democratic caucus to hold the first African-American male Speaker of the House accountable to whatever the standard is that is going to be, from my perspective, disrespectful. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns, Dr. Neek Corte, and John Lesiotis are our guest. More when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump is returning to the U.S. after a high-stakes summit with China's president in Beijing.
They just want to see a fight for independence.
Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One that Taiwan was a major focus of the meeting. On arms sales to Taiwan, he said he still has to make a determination. Oklahoma has carried out the execution of convicted double murderer Raymond Johnson, who was black. He was sentenced to death for killing his former girlfriend and her 7-month-old daughter nearly 20 years ago, after prosecutors say he set them on fire while they were still alive. Johnson was executed Thursday by lethal injection at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. And a federal judge has denied Tennessee Democrats' request to block a new congressional map. The lawsuit challenges the breakup of the Democratic 9th District into 3 Republican districts. The judge denied a temporary restraining order and canceled a May 20th hearing. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Join in for Alex Vesia bobblehead night Friday, May 29th versus the Phillies. The first 40,000 fans get to take home an exclusive Alex Vesia bobblehead presented by Starlux Airlines. For tickets and more information, visit Dodgers.com/promotion.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL schedule is out for the 2026 season. First regular season game is on Wednesday night, September 9th, New England at Seattle. This is the first time in the NFL's 107-year history that the league has scheduled a game on a Wednesday. The Rams will play their regular season opener in Melbourne, Australia, Thursday night, September 10th against San Francisco. The Chargers open the season at SoFi Stadium Sunday afternoon, September 13th against Arizona. The Rams, a strong contender again to make it to the Super Bowl, will be featured in 7 primetime games. The Rams have home games against Dallas, Seattle, Kansas City, Green Bay, Buffalo, and the New York Giants. The Chargers' home schedule includes the Rams, the Raiders, New England, Houston, Denver, Kansas City, San Francisco, and the New York Jets. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears.
We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like nuclear reactor safety expert.
I disabled the backup cooling system. It was making such an annoying noise. You heard it, right? It was like,
we're on a countdown to core failure.
And you're saying we don't want that?
This is a job for sponsored jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. the only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Let me tell you something about Los Angeles. This city doesn't have small problems, so it damn sure doesn't need small, weak leadership. That's why I support Karen Bass. She walked into a system that was slow, broken, and reluctant to change. She cut through red tape and started moving people off the streets into housing. She created the Office of Community Safety to make our neighborhoods safer, supported wage increases for many underpaid workers, expanded contract opportunities for small minority business, and signed an executive order to give formerly incarcerated people a second chance. Karen Bass is about real change. I'm Samuel L. Jackson, and I've seen a lot of people talk tough. Karen Bass is tough. That's why I'm voting for Karen Bass, and you should too. So vote today. You received your ballot in the mail by now. You don't even have to go to the polls. Just fill out your ballot and hand it to your postal worker. No stamp needed.
Paid for by Re-elect Karen Bass for Mayor 2026, 445 South Figueroa Street, Suite 2400, Los Angeles, California, 90071. Funding details at ethics.lacity.gov.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays with the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Gina Towns. Gina co-produced the Emmy Award-nominated documentary Hampton University, One of the Wonders of the World, and as a songwriter, co-producer, and performer, her single, Yes, hit number 26 with a bullet on the Billboard charts. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Reflectivity on Fat Meat Friday.
We are reflecting today, Jesse.
Listen, I also want to acknowledge the presence of one of KBLA's star contributors, Dr. Nee Corte. He is our White House correspondent. Dr. Nee, not only welcome forward to the show, but how can we listen to your show right here at KBLA Talk 1580?
Absolutely. We are on weekdays, Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time. I want to encourage people to also subscribe to a More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580. That way you get to listen to some of our most memorable interviews if you don't have a chance to catch us live.
Appreciate that very much, Dr. Q. And John Lesiotis. John, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. John is the regulator. He helps regularly contribute to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, helping us to see both sides and points of view. Oftentimes we agree, oftentimes we struggle to agree, but I'm so grateful for his contribution. John recently lost his mother, and again, we extend our sincere condolences to you and your family in KBLA.
Thank you.
Gina, I know that we're going to shift and talk a little bit about what happened in Virginia, but I did want to say this in part because I was particularly moved by Neil Foote in the last segment. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee at age 39. And I believe Malcolm was killed at the same age 39. This struggle has been a struggle led by young people. And in this moment, I'm thinking, Dr. Q, that the Jasmine Crockett's of life, the Justin Pearsons of life, the Justin Joneses of life, the Cleo Fieldses of life ought to be heading some major organizations right now. And I know those state representative positions in Illinois and other states are essentially part-time, but these guys ought not just be special guests on panels at some of these major conferences. They ought to be leading the organizations themselves, while what my father said, they got the gusto, they got the energy, they know what they're talking about, and from those platforms, they can command national attention and even international attention. I am not going to back up off of that because, you know, some of us heading up organizations at 70, it's well, it's I'm not engaging in any ageism here. My dad once said, and I'll never forget it. He said he went to the Baptist convention, and the youth director was a 92-year-old African-American woman. And the sermon that she preached at the National Baptist Convention every year was, "You youth need to stop having sex." Gina, I just had to get that out.
I'm glad you got it.
Thank you so much. We need some young people with some what Dad called gusto.
Well, I think that it would be a refreshing change of pace because there are some people who probably have needed over the year to be mentoring someone in order to take over their seats, to move into Congress, to gain the seniority that they do have. So that has been a problem, and a little bit too late to work on that. And you're right. I want to go back to Virginia. When you look at what happened in Virginia, and if you want to, this has been a movement of the 10th Amendment. And in Virginia, it exercised its right to have an election, to discuss the matter at hand in the forced redistricting outside of a census year, as per the leadership of your nation. And Virginia took a vote, and the vote has been basically ignored. And so, we see a breach in the democracy that's far greater than, that's a earthquake, really. And to be able to feel the weight of that and see the movement to continue as it is, the people really have to stand up. This is a Boston Tea Party. This is, we will not put up with the king anymore. We will not pay taxes without representation. This is that moment in our country. It's really more than about removing blacks from their positions or not allowing, because with that goes the Hispanic position, that the Asian position, and people who have come in on the back and on the wave of the civil rights movement. So there is a lot at stake. And I'm not sure, here's the question that I have for the group of you is, I'm not sure everybody understands the magnitude of this. I was at a 8th grade graduation the other day, and I promise nobody knew what was going on. The parents. I agree. That I think that I'm talking to people who have not participated in the process in a while, and they have no idea what's at stake and what has gone on thus far. How do we reach them?
Well, I think part of it is understanding, how human beings absorb the shock of things. There's this really great book I've been reading by Darnell Lamont Walker. It's called Never Can Say Goodbye. It's the life of a death doula and the art of a peaceful ending. Don't nothing feel peaceful right now. Every time you turn on the news, every news alert you get is something new and abhorrent. I was just during the commercial break looking at my phone, and I see the New York Times reporting that the Trump administration is weighing a $1.7 billion fund for allies investigated under Biden. Right. This is stuff that we are not used to seeing. I think as leaders, I think we have to be sensitive to the fact that folks can only hold so much at one time. Right. And as leaders, we've got to not just overwhelm people with information, but what are we going to do about it? How can we channel that into something constructive, something meaningful? That's part of what we're seeing right now in Montgomery. Where with All Roads Lead to the South. And I want to encourage all of our leaders, learners, and listeners to go to allroadsleadtothe.south.com to get all the information you need to show up in Selma, to show up in Montgomery this Saturday. Folks are activating. There are buses of folks going in from across the country because, to your point, Gina, they recognize that this is a Boston Tea Party type moment. This is an inflection point in our country's history. And folks want to make clear that they're on the right side of history. The other thing I would say, to the point that you made early, Jesse, is that you're right. We have not done a good enough job graduating our members of Congress and public officials, into stewardship roles, post their tenure in elected office. And so guess what? A lot of them, they hang tight. Right. And again, I'm not going to be ageist. I don't think anybody in this conversation is trying to be ageist, but we're saying that different times sometimes require, sort of a different energy. Right. Certainly we communicate with one another in a vastly different way than we did even 5-10 years ago. Right. The demands on public officials are a little bit different. And so, we need an overhaul, not just in terms of our representation in public office, but leadership across industry, leadership in nonprofit organizations and foundations. This is the time where we need to bring in new energy and not cling on to the energy of the past.
We have about a minute before we come forward. John, didn't the vote, to Gina's point, in Virginia and the court's intervention essentially tell the people that their votes don't count?
Oh, 100%.
And it's likely that we'll hear more of that in the coming days?
Yeah, the Democrats actually got punished there for taking the to the voters, and the Republican states, they just overruled it themselves. The legislature did. And here in Virginia, they took it to the voters. The voters voted for redistricting, and the Republican appointed Supreme Court says, no, you can't do it. So absolutely, they're against the will of the voters.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns, Dr. Nick Cordelai-Corte, and John Lesiotis are our very special guest. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for healthcare, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelenos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for state superintendent of public instruction,
backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for state superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be 1,000,000 miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya, guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Next Friday, we will be testing our equipment to receive your calls on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, interactive. We ask that you consider writing your questions down throughout the week so that when you call in, you can ask a question. Our new number will be 833-SHOW-JJJ. That's 833-SHOW-JJJ, 833-746-9555, 833-746-9555. Next Friday, we'll be testing our call-in technology. I'm honored on Fat Meat Friday to share this podium with the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Gina Towns. Gina had a career in the corporate world. She received the 3M Company's highest award, the Spirit of Quality Award, for those who have the vision and the ability to make it happen. Gina transformed her skills into full-time ministry in Chicago and later in Atlanta. She is a native of Gary, Indiana, and a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hey, Jesse.
Dr. Ni Korte, born into a Ghanaian-American family, Dr. Korte holds a doctoral degree in organizational leadership and a master's degree in social entrepreneurship and change from Pepperdine University. Doc, you might be the last Negro to graduate from Pepperdine University, by the way.
We pray not. We pray not.
Under this administration, the Department of Justice today launched a lawsuit against Yale University, arguing that African Americans who have the same scores as Asians or white males Asians and white males were denied entry because African Americans with the same scores were preferred. Now, mind you, probably less than 1% of the class at Yale is African American at the medical school. But for those of us who managed to become doctors through that university, the Department of Justice is now suggesting that that program that saw us, that literally saw us and understood that our doctors are coming home to our communities because Black people use Black doctors and white folks tend to pick white doctors, that somehow the institution discriminated against them by helping us with our disparities in our community. Dr. Nee Cordelai-Corte hosts A More Perfect Union. One more time, Dr. Nee, how can we listen to your show right here on KBLA Talk 1580?
Well, folks can listen to us on YouTube. They can listen to us on the KBLA app from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time. And if you can't listen to us synchronously, you can check out A More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580. We have a weekly drop at the end of the week, and you can catch some of our most memorable conversations there.
John Lesiotis today is going to be offering us our word of hope. And just before I bring his brief introduction back one more time, John, Dr. Q, tell us what's going on with the White House ballroom. It's got to be disruptive to your work.
Oh my gosh. The White House ballroom. Well, the latest is that you have Republican members of Congress that are wringing their hands, trying to find a way to deliver for this president, one of his big pet projects. That price tag went from $200 million to $400 million to now $1 billion with a B, and they are looking for a way for taxpayers to foot the bill. And so Democrats have been doing their best to resist this. I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome this, but this is just one of the most outrageous assaults on taxpayers, quite frankly. And if that wasn't enough, to add insult to injury, the president has sued the IRS, and the IRS and the Justice Department are currently trying to figure out a settlement. And I've seen some reports that there could be a settlement of maybe $1.7 billion that would be funneled to friends of the president. And so, there's no shortage of alleged corruption afoot, from the ballroom to the IRS and beyond.
Hey, John. How about Iran?
Well, I think we need to look east for a little optimism. Straight across the country to New York City. And if anyone noticed a video clip that Mayor Mandami put out yesterday, he announced that in 132 days in office, they have reduced the deficit to $12 billion deficit in New York City in 132 days. They've
I found this on the web for 32 days.
So they've also, when they've done it, they increased the wage for snow workers to $30 an hour, universal child care for everybody in the city. And they've also fixed 1,000 potholes in the first 132 days. So there's a lot of optimism. I have a couple of friends that have kids that live there, and they say that optimism is off the charts for people under 40 years old. So let's take that for a lesson and hope that spreads across the country.
John, we're so grateful that you've been on our program. Dr. Nee Cordelai-Corte, grateful that you're here. And those of you who may not have been able to view our program, John Lesiotis, when his phone came on, he threw it to the left. So fixing potholes may not be all that we'll be fixing.
That was Siri.
We may have an Olympic gold medalist in our midst.
Gina, thank you for a wonderful show, and thank you for a wonderful week. It's been nothing short of extraordinary.
It's been extraordinary, all right.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Have a wonderful weekend. Look forward to seeing everybody on Monday.